time is money. Or at least that's the old adage I've always heard my entire life. Time is money, meaning that any time that you waste is time that you could be making money, or in some cases, saving money. And I know a lot of people hear about how driving electric cars can save you money because electricity is cheaper than gas. Well, what happens if we look at this from a different angle as far as saving time? And how much time does it save? And is that more important than the cost of gas? Let's dive in and talk about this. So the other day I was driving past the gas stations that I've driven by for the past 10 years and thinking to myself, wow, I haven't stopped at one of those places in quite a while since we have gone completely electric in our household. And so it got me thinking, how much time did I used to waste filling up the cars with fuel as opposed to just coming home and charging my vehicle in my garage? And so thinking about that, I started doing a little bit of math to see if this is really something that would entice people other than saving money on just fuel costs. So I broke down some numbers here, and I'm really just kind of throwing this video out there. And I know everybody's situation is different. Maybe you live in an apartment and there's no charging by you, so charging up while you're home is not really possible. And then some people may just not have the ability to have a charger in their garage because maybe they rent, or maybe they're restricted by some sort of weird bylaw that forces them to only have 120 volt outlet and not actually put a level 2 in their garage. And so obviously I'm not speaking to 100% of the people out there who either have EVs, want an EV, or maybe don't even want an EV. But I thought about this from at least my perspective, and probably the perspective of a lot of other people out there. And of course, I want to hear your opinion as well on this. So make sure you put down in the comments what you think about the situation, and tell me if you agree with me or if you see it from a different perspective. But I got thinking about how much time we save owning electric vehicles now. I'm speaking for my wife and myself, not having to stop at a gas station. So I took an average of, let's say you fill up your gas tank once per week, right? So let's say you have a 40-mile commute every day, 20 miles there, 20 miles back. I feel like that fits the bill for quite a few Americans. I used to have to do that same exact commute, 20 miles and 20 miles back, 40 miles a day, 200 miles a week, not including weekends or any extracurricular activities after work. So when you get to think about it, you're probably filling up your car maybe once a week, depending on your car, depending on the type of driving habits. Obviously, once again, this variable can range quite significantly. So once again, not necessarily talking about exactly your situation, but a situation that other people might come across. And so if you were like me, I usually stopped for gas on my way home from work. That just seemed more logical. Instead of stopping on my way to work and potentially being late for work or whatever the case may be, I usually stopped on my way home. Or if I could, I would wait till the weekend to try to fill up. Maybe try to wait for gas prices to come down. I would always play that game of trying to save a couple dollars at the pump. Now, of course, we don't have to worry about that because the price of electricity is constant throughout the day, throughout the year, for me at least. Changes to that very soon. But it got me thinking about how much time we spend filling up our gas vehicles. So let's say you fill up once per week and you stop at a gas station. Now I'm going to use 10 minutes, let's say you go to fill up on gas. Now I know it doesn't take 10 minutes to fill everybody's car. You probably pull into a gas station, you get out of the car, you swipe your credit card, you grab the handle, you stick it in the car, probably 5 minutes. Then you could probably get that handle out, put it back in, get back in your car, and you're going. Now, obviously, depending on the size of your gas tank, depending on how much money you typically put into the vehicle, these are all variables that will change how long you stay there. But let's just say 10 minutes. Let's say you go into the shop to grab a drink or use the restroom, whatever the case may be. And so let's just say 10 minutes per week that you spend filling up your vehicle with gas, right? So 10 minutes, multiply that by 52 weeks a year. It's roughly 520 minutes. Call that 8 hours and change. So let's just say you get 8 hours a year that you spend at a gas station. Now, this is not including if you were to take a road trip or anything else, any other extracurricular activities or day trips or anything else. Let's just say 8 hours a year is what you spend at a gas station. Now, here at home, I spend 0 time charging in public because I do have that luxury of being able to charge in my garage. It's very easy. It's very comforting. I come home, I know I'm going to have electricity, or at least you hope you have electricity, but most of the time, 99.9% of the time, we have electricity here. And so I'm always pretty much never concerned whether or not I'm going to be able to charge my vehicle or fuel my car when I get home. Now, of course, if you drive a gas car, there are this occasions where you go to a gas station. Maybe they're out of a specific type of fuel. Maybe they, for some reason, just are out of all fuels because there was some weird shortage. I mean, I know we had some gas shortages here in the past that have caused people to panic and start filling up, Rubbermaid totes of fuel, and just people do crazy things, especially right before a hurricane. If you live in a hurricane-prone area, you'll know right away that what I mean is you see a lot of people panic right before hurricanes where they fill up their car with gas and then they park it in their garage or their driveway just in case they have to evacuate. Then they have plenty of fuel to get as far away as possible before, obviously, before the storm hits. And that usually causes gas shortages and all sorts of anxiety and problems for people, especially since people do it sometimes 3 or 4 days early. So then people can't get to work because they don't have fuel for their cars because obviously there's a shortage. Anyway, I digress. There's always those weird, intricate times where fuel can be hard to come by. Whereas at home, I'm always going to have electricity, especially for me, providing that I have solar and battery storage. I pretty much will always have electricity here at home. So let's just say 10 minutes per week. That's about 8 hours per year. Once again, not including road trips. So that's 8 hours per year that I potentially save by driving an electric vehicle. And this is not including the savings of fuel by charging up at home at my really low electricity rate compared to the price of gas. There's much more than just stopping for fuel in your gas car. Like, for instance, you do have to eventually get your oil changed, right? Meaning you got to make that phone call and say, hey, I want to get my oil changed in my car. You got to schedule that time. Maybe you take time off for work or go in late. You got to drop off the vehicle. Are you waiting for it? Are you just dropping it off for the day? What's your plans? How long does that take? At least an hour, maybe 2 hours, depending on how busy they are. So this is all different things that can come up when owning a gas vehicle. So even though you might only save roughly 8 hours per year owning an electric vehicle because you don't have to stop for gas as often, the other maintenance is also something that you'll save time on. And of course, the old adage of time is money, like I was saying before, is something that, well, let's face it, the extra time can give you time to do something that's more beneficial to your life. Maybe not necessarily making more money, but other things that could be beneficial to you. Like, for instance, for me, I could spend that extra time every year making videos for all of you out there, which is something that I absolutely love to do. Once again, I know that not everybody's situation is the same. Some people do have electric vehicles and they actually spend more time every year because they get stuck in a pretty terrible public charging infrastructure area. Certain areas of California, we see this all the time where there are chargers that are just absolutely terrible and are constantly busy, and there's always a line of cars at those chargers. And so those particular situations are obviously the small percentage of people who unfortunately have to deal with that stuff, and it's probably costing them more time every year. But like I was saying earlier, I'm primarily talking about the people who have the luxury of being able to come home and plug their car in their garage, just like I do right here. Now, I bet a lot of you are probably sitting there going, well, wait a minute. When you go on a road trip, though, you spend a lot more time charging your car than you do if you just had a gas car. And there is some truth to that, but honestly, I usually prefer it. I get in the vehicle, I drive roughly 3 hours. We get to our charger, we get there, we plug in the vehicle, and we have roughly 30 minutes to do whatever we want, whether that be relaxing, or maybe taking a quick nap, or possibly running to go get some drinks or food, or maybe just stretching and relaxing for a little bit. And because getting back in the car after about 5 minutes and darting off to the next 400 or 500 miles in a gas car can be really stressful and just really hard on the body. And I've done that many times in my life where you drive 8 or 10 hours practically straight without stopping at all, maybe once to get gas. And by the time you get to where you're going, you're so tired and stressed that you're not even in the mood to do whatever it is that you got there to do. And so yeah, even though it might take a little longer to get someplace, it really is worth it to take the time to get out of the car, stretch, get the blood flowing, and do something better for yourself as opposed to stressing yourself out on these longer road trips. And we've seen situations where, like this past year when we went up to New Jersey in December for Christmas, we basically left right around Christmas Eve. And we got to a charger where we had to wait for a charger. Now there was 4 chargers, 4 vehicles charging, and there was about 4 in line waiting to charge. And you would probably think, well, that was a waste of time. I mean, you just sat there waiting to charge. And to some degree, maybe that was true, but in other ways, it actually was nice. It actually forced us to slow down a little bit. We got lunch, we were able to eat lunch, get the car charged, go use the restrooms, and then get back in the car and get back on the road again. And for those particular situations, it works out for the better. Even though it wasn't a quick, let's get there, let's charge, let's get back in the car and get back on the road. I love the lifestyle of electric vehicles because it forces you to get out of the car a little bit earlier than a full tank of gas. And with that, you get that time to breathe. You get that time to relax and that time to just kind of take it all in and understand what you're doing. You're kind of planning out the next step, maybe taking in the scenery a little bit because sometimes these charging stops can be at some pretty nice places. And so I really love the lifestyle of owning an electric vehicle. And so I know at the beginning of this video, I used the phrase time is money, as if the extra 8 hours a year, you're going to make some sort of extra money or, you know, millions of dollars in that extra 8 hours. But in reality, maybe that extra 8 hours is not so much money, but maybe it's a little extra comfortability in your life. Not having to stop for gas on your way home, one less thing you have to do every week. I think that is an extra perk of driving an electric vehicle. So not only do you save money on the fuel, but you also save some extra time by not having to stop for gas at least once a week. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Appreciate you watching, and of course, we'll see you on the next one. And remember, welcome to the future. Welcome to Tech Motoring. We'll see you soon.